I played 100 Days of Fields of Mistria, and it's safe to say that I have found my latest obsession. And no, I'm not just talking about the good-looking NPCs that scatter this game. Full disclosure, there will be silly mistakes made in this video, and that's because I went into the game pretty blind and decided to learn on the go. Because of that, I don't have many goals, but I do know that I want cute-looking farm animals, maybe a little sordid romance, and of course to make my farm feel like home. Please don't forget to like and also subscribe, but without further ado, here is how I spent my first 100 days in Fields of Mistria. Technically, this first scene isn't day one, but it is setting the picture for our arrival. This is where we were first introduced to Adeline and Elan in the dark of night, where they were plotting how to save the town, or who's gonna save the town. And spoiler, it's me. I'm the one that's gonna save the town. Then came my first challenge, and that was character customization. This was hard because there were so many good options. I decided to embrace the green and narrowly avoided looking like a Starbucks barista. We also aren't going to talk about my basic farm name because even though I should have been prepared and knew that this was coming, I wasn't. Outfit chosen and farm name picked, I headed into Mistria for the first time and was welcomed by a mysterious traveling merchant, Bala, who kindly offered to guide me to the new farm. He did manage to safely deliver me to the farm, and this is where we met Elan and Adeline, who had everything under control for setting up my new digs. Honestly, this isn't too shabby for a first home. Adeline wasted no time in setting up future plans for helping with the town restoration. I've only been here 10 minutes, but I guess there is no time like the present. And after that warm welcome, I headed to bed. And here is the first official day. That morning, I was greeted by Celine, who very kindly gifted me a hoe and some tulip seeds. We then heard the sound of hooves in the distance, and this transpired to be the hunky ranch hand Hayden. Hayden gave me a watering can and some turnip seeds. Left to my own devices, I planted and watered my new crops and then headed off to find Adeline. Adeline explained to me about the town ranking system and showed me the request board. I'm not normally a fan of request boards in games as I'm not very organised, but I will give it a go. And our first challenge was, of course, to meet all 22 villagers. I wasted no time and got to it. I gave Dozy a little drink. I met Juniper and Acuna Matatas. I met Elsie, who is goals for later in life. Saw some villagers hammering away and met the children. I also fell in love with Raina, popped into the general store for the first time, and found out that Holt likes a pun or two. I was very jealous of Landon's flowery shirt. I did take a brief intermission and got distracted, of course, and picked my first wild berries. I then headed to the museum and met Blathers in human form. On my way to track down the last two remaining people, I found a dandelion for the first time. Unfortunately, Henrietta didn't give me the warm welcome I was hoping for, and I bumped into Charithia just outside of Hayden's farm, and just like that, I had completed the first request. I then headed to the fancy manor at the top of town to turn in this request, and I found Adeline, who gave me 3 potato seeds and 100 tesserae. Before turning in for the night, I remembered to plant those pesky potatoes. On day 2, my town ranked up to level 1, and there was a strange thumping noise coming from my farm. It turned out to be Elan trying to chop down a tree. He needed a hand, so he gave me a worn axe, and with a little hard work, it revealed a mysterious statue. I headed to town to collect my rewards for leveling up and had a quest to get a warm pickaxe, and all I had to do was speak to Ulrich. Ulrich showed off his ripped muscles and also taught me how to blacksmith. I then set out on a mission to collect some wood and stone for Reese. I found a lilac along the way for the first time, but my pockets got pretty full very quickly. So I headed home and realised that I forgot to check my mail, which had a letter from Errol inviting me to visit him at the museum. I also remembered to water my plants. This is a farming sim, Emma. Then I spent a very long time trying to find Reese, but failed and headed to bed. My not dream that night involved speaking to the stone dragon, who turned out to be called Calderus, I hope that's how you say it, who filled me in on the magical essence surrounding Mistria and the skill perks available. On day 3, I did remember to check my letters, and I had one from Adeline about repairing the bridge. I then began the morning by picking some berries. I made my way to the museum to meet Errol, who gave me a rundown about making donations. I finally found Reese, who was chilling by the fountain, and he gave me some tesserae as a reward for the wood and stone. I did a little bit of foraging on the Eastern Road, and for the first time I found chickpeas, fennel, ew, gross, and some wild leeks. I discovered Adeline and some other villagers were discussing the broken bridge and the need for it to be fixed, so merchants can make their way to town and restore the Saturday markets. In order to restore the bridge, they were going to need lots of stone and lots of wood, 60 of each to be precise. And of course, because of this, I spent the rest of the day collecting wood and stone required for the bridge. Before heading to bed, I remembered to sell some items. I know I probably should be donating these right now, but my mind is on getting that backpack upgrade because it feels like I can't collect anything right now. And then I finally turned in for the night. On day 4, my town didn't progress just one level. In fact, it went to level 2 and 3. Today was Reese's birthday and my first rainy day, which was worthy of celebration as it left me with more energy to collect that stone and wood. I accepted 2 quests at the board, one for a worn net and one for a berries and cream recipe. I picked up my rewards for leveling up. This turned out to be an adventurer's hood and some much needed gold. On my hunt for more berries, I discovered the western side and the whole ruin area of the map, which looks pretty cool, and there's even this little dig site here. The graphics in this game are just so adorable. I headed to the inn on my search to give Reese a piece of rock for his birthday. However, instead of Reese, there was a little bit of an interaction between Hemlock and Luke about collecting the bugs in Mistria. This distracted me and I never actually found Reese to gift him this, so hopefully he doesn't hate me now. Although I was so close to having the required resources for the bridge repair, I was just out of energy, so to bed I went. The town rank is officially at level 4. Raina sent me a mail about the Mistria tradition of gathering at the Sleeping Dragon Inn. Maybe this is a date. I really don't think it is a date, but I wish it was. I was a good farmer and watered my crops. I then got back to gathering the 60 wood and stone required for the bridge. It didn't take me too long, thankfully, and with the goods acquired, I started making my way back towards the donation box. I stopped off to collect my town rewards and picked a tulip for the first time. I made it to the donation box and got rid of that stone and wood. Hopefully, this will all be ready to be done in time for the Saturday market tomorrow. I then found an anemone. I never know how to say that word. Anemone, and a daffodil for the first time. I also found my net that I dropped off on the floor yesterday because my pockets were full, and I tried to find another lilac for a quest but failed, and instead I found some blueberries and I did actually manage to catch my first bug. As I headed back to my farm, I also found a ladybird on the ground. By this point, the day was pretty late and I remembered that I'd forgotten to go to the inn, so I made a mad dash towards it before it got too late. I filled up my social bar by talking to the villagers. Celine, yes, I would love to talk to flowers as well. And Raina gave me a free drink simply for showing up. Maybe she likes me too. As Adeline was also in the inn, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone and turned in the bridge repair quest. And just like that, it was fixed. And now I can get excited for the Saturday market tomorrow and make lots of frivolous purchases. The town has hit level 5 and it's official, the Saturday market is here. I had 2 letters this morning, one from Eland about meeting Errol and him at the museum, and also one from Nora about greeting all of the new Saturday market vendors. I picked my turnips and I kept one for safekeeping and then sold the rest. I purchased some seeds from the store for the first time. I thought it was about time that I invested back into my farm. I then headed to the board and accepted a quest for some stone. I also had a reward of a gold bag, but my inventory was full, so I enjoyed a cheeky cocktail. Why not? It's Saturday. Whilst looking for the market, I caught a caterpillar and I finally realised that I was a numpty, and of course the market would be in the centre of town. I had a perusal of all the stalls. I loved the hair and the hair clips, but I was good and didn't spend any more money for today. I headed to the museum to donate my caterpillar and was met by Errol and Eland having an argument over the priorities of the town. I learned to reopen the mines, I would have to up the town renown. Once they were done arguing, I managed to make my first donation. I then realised I actually needed to talk to the market vendors for a little bit of a quest, so I headed back there and earned myself 200 tesserae for the pleasure of doing so. I also managed to knock off the quest for Ulrich, who wanted the stone, and in return I got a chair, but again, my pockets were full, so I will come back for that chair another day. I headed to my farm to plant my new seeds, and I found a ladybird whilst there. I used the shrine and decided to level up my farming twice. I selected the prepared picker and a day well spent rewards. With the rest of my energy for today, I decided to clear out some of my messy farm. On day 7, the town ranked up twice yet again. For getting to level 6, we got some pants or like chap things, like cowboy chaps. I honestly don't know what they are, but I'll still take them. And for level 7, we got some money. I picked up my watering can from my chest, but turns out we didn't need it because it was raining. We had a message from Adeline who wants me to go to the manor house and talk with her. And for selling some turnips, Nora has kindly sent me a sliced turnip recipes. You need a recipe for slicing turnips? Okay, alright then. After collecting my rewards, we are so close to getting the bag upgrade, and I accepted a quest for a trout. I remembered to pick up my brand new chair, and I caught a petal hopper for the first time. I donated the petal hopper and the ladybug to the museum. I headed to speak with Adeline about the emergency stockpile. Turns out we need to ship 10 crops, and she gifted me 10 potatoes, which will come in very handy. I turned in some berries to Elan for a quest, and in return I got that berries and cream recipe. Berries and cream, berries and cream. The potatoes that Adeline had given me were burning a hole in my pocket, so I went ahead and planted them. I had a quest from Juniper about a potion, and it got me a little bit intrigued, so I went ahead and visited her, and the children were also present. Somehow, amongst all the chatter, I got roped into trying a potion, and it did not taste good, trust me. Thankfully, Juniper gave me a relaxing bath, and all was well in the world again. For nearly poisoning me, she also gave me 5 free visits to the bathhouse. How very generous of her. With my newly replenished energy, I headed back to my farm and cleared out some of that mess. Whilst doing that, I also found a roly-poly bug that popped out from under a stone. On day 8, I awoke with 962 gold, which means we are so close to the backpack upgrade. I could almost taste it. We now have pink trees and cherry blossom leaves are falling, which is so precious. My tulips and potatoes were also ready, so I decided to harvest them, and I sold them on just in case we get a recipe. Juniper sent me a message saying that she felt bad for nearly killing me yesterday with her potion, so she sent me a gift of a weather crystal ball. I placed it down, and this is actually pretty cool looking. I used the shrine to get the appealing reeling upgrade, which means that fish will become attracted to my bobber from a greater range. Honestly, I'm not sure why I did this, as I actually don't even own a fishing rod right now. I caught a pond skater and found an ant that I had previously caught but dropped due to my pockets being full. I cannot wait to expand those pockets. I foraged a morel mushroom needed for a quest and headed straight to Valin to turn it in, and because they gifted me some Tesserae, I now have enough for the backpack. Then decided it was time to try and buy a fishing rod, so I headed to the tackle shop to try and get one, forgetting that I had literally just spent all of my money, but at least now I know where they are when I have the money. I went diving and found myself a clam for the first time, and then I went for a swim and did such a numpty thing. I jumped off of this cliff and there were 2 rocks there, and then I just got stuck and I couldn't get out of it. I tried jumping so high, I couldn't do it. So I literally sat there and waited for the day to end. This is just early access things, right? Day 8 eventually ended and I was finally teleported to my bed. My annoyance was soon lifted though, as my town level had reached level 9, which means we're nearly at 10, which is required to open the mines. I started my morning in the normal fashion by, of course, watering my crops. I also received a baked potato recipe, or a jacket potato recipe, as we call it in the UK, from Nora. I spotted a diving spot and I jumped right in. This turned out to be a river snail. I also found my first bumblebee. How adorable are these? The gold from the rewards combined with my money I made yesterday was enough for me to buy the fishing rod. I then decided now might be a good time to focus on donating some spring forageables, so I went on a bit of a foraging spree. This is what you do when you're poor in a game. You go on a foraging spree, not a spending spree. And I made 3 more donations to the museum. I thought I would want to avoid the beach today after yesterday's traumatic events, but spring is soon going by, so I decided to face my fears and went diving again. Today I found some seaweed and I also collected a hermit crab. I finally purchased a fishing rod, so it was time to put it to the test, and the first fish that I caught was a squid. I'm normally a hater of fishing in every game, and I will say, I don't mind it in Fields of Mistria, and me saying that is like a huge compliment. It is very similar to Animal Crossing in the mechanic, but I like the fact that the exclamation mark is pretty clear, so you know when to reel it in. I made 2 further donations. Errol is going to be happy with me today. All of the donations that I made yesterday have paid off, as the town has now reached level 10, which means it is of stone grading. And today is also Ulrich's birthday. I must be feeling popular because there were lots of mail sat in my mailbox. Firstly, to celebrate the town leveling up, Adeline sent me a copper ingot. Shiny. Reese also wants 10 wood, and because the town leveled up, Errol wants to discuss the mines. So excited to explore the mines, they are literally one of my favourite activities in a farming sim. I upgraded my fishing via the shrine. I went for the catch of the day perk, which has the chance to refund some of the stamina that is used. I collected a stamina potion as my reward for reaching rank 10, and I undertook a new quest for water chestnuts, but I have no clue where to find these. I decided to spend all of my money on potato seeds. I can become a millionaire from being a potato farmer, right? Gave Ulrich a daffodil for his birthday present. I'm not sure he was too impressed with this though. I gifted Reese the wood he needed, and I undertook a crafting lesson. I got 5 wood fence for completing this little crafting tutorial. I found a Middle Mist flower by the museum. I'd not seen this one before. I also headed to the museum to donate 2 more items, and this completed the first set, the spring flower set, and this gave me some nice rewards. I got a farmer's cap and also a chest. I then headed into the mines, and just before we headed in there, Errol gave me a pep talk of sorts. Okay, this was not a pep talk at all, it was a serious warning. But did I listen? Nope. I headed straight on in. Another mysterious dragon shrine was found at the entrance to the mines. I headed down and got to the first level pretty quickly. I found a copper ore, and I also got a lantern bug, but I couldn't stick around as my pockets were so full. I headed back to the farm, ready to plant my potatoes so that I could get them growing. Day 11 was a rainy day, something I am always very grateful for. I harvested my first ever strawberry, which is a milestone, I think. I then set my eyes on trying to get the trout for a quest. My first fish was a rock bass, but on the second fish, I got a trout, which is pretty lucky. Conveniently, Treffia was actually stood nearby where I was fishing, so I quickly turned it in to get the smoked trout soup recipe. Sounds delicious. I decided to figure out the archaeology site. Turns out you can use your pick there. Did not know that. I found some peat and also some sod. I then headed into the mines. I encountered some mine monsters for the first time, but they are more cute than scary. I may regret saying that. I found some Narrows moss, and on the 3rd level I also found a ruby. I did nearly die getting it, but it was worth it. Although I got to level 4, I had no more energy or health, so I went back up. I used the shrine to upgrade to an Earthbreaker feature. Hopefully this will come in handy for getting those ores. And my last act of the day was to make 3 more donations. My town rank reached level 12 on day 12, which I found kind of funny. After tending to my crops, I decided to be a good neighbour and focus on collecting some items needed for quests. Whilst out and about, I caught a praying mantis for the first time. I also headed to the shop and bought some more seeds, but my inventory was full, so I quickly ran off to the museum to make 2 further donations. I collected my town rewards, and this time it was a stone bench. Elsie was hanging around near the fountain, which was perfect timing as I had a snowdrop anemone for her. I said it right that time, I think. Back at the farm, I placed my new bench, and I also planted the seeds that I had purchased, then headed to the inn because it's Friday night, baby. There was a lot of work to be done on the farm the next morning as my 10 potatoes are finally ready to be harvested. Tomorrow we should be able to turn in the quest for Adeline. As we're nearly halfway through spring and I've hardly caught any spring fish, I decided to spend the morning fishing at the beach. Whilst on the dock, I fished up my first chest, which gave me some gold and also a mushroom rice. After all that fishing, I was able to make just 2 donations. Then I remembered it was Saturday, so I went and treated myself to some strawberry clips, and I changed my outfit. I am now embracing pink and green. The request board had a quest to meet Josephine at the inn for a cooking class, so I headed straight over. Once my cooking class was complete, I went back to the farm and planted some daffodils. I finished the day off collecting some wood as I want to craft a wooden chest. My town hit level 13 this morning. Let's hope it's not an unlucky number. Celine also arrived bright and early to tell me that Mistria is hosting its spring festival in the town square on Wednesday. All I have to do is collect as many spring bouquets as I can. This festival seems right up my alley as it's all about flowers. I used the shrine to upgrade some farming tools, and I went for the green thumb and the refreshing tiles. Turned in March's request for some copper ore and got a crash course in blacksmithing. I then headed to Adeline to complete the shipment for the emergency stockpile quest. As a reward, I got 10 turnip seeds. I guess that means sliced turnips for everyone. I found my first unidentified artifact from the dig site, which on closer inspection turned out to be an ancient gold coin. I made sure to donate this. I then headed to the mines and got my first breath of spring flower whilst hitting the rock. Whilst in the mines, I also found a perfect copper ore and got a monster core from a lantern bug creature thing. Not really sure what to describe this as. And found a chest with a miner's boot and lots of ore on level 6. On the next level, I found some monster powder from killing a mushroom for the first time, and I also got a shadow flower. With my loot from the mines, I made 4 donations to the museum, then quickly ran home to try and make it to bed on time. Day 15 was a rainy day and my chest indoors is starting to get very full, so it's definitely time to think about expansion. I planted some more crops, which I didn't have to water, obviously. In my mail was a recipe for candied strawberries from Dora. These genuinely do sound really good. I did some fishing in the rivers and saw my first school of fish, but I did prematurely click. What a mistake. But I soon cheered up when I found a rare giant fish, the paddlefish. I also collected the stone storage chest, which was a town leveling up reward. This could not have come at a better time. I decided to do some wood crafting to get my level up, and then headed to the blacksmith and turned some copper ore into ingots and upgraded my pickaxe to be copper. I love the fact that we do not have to wait 3 days for this to be returned. I spoke to Raina to give her some blueberries and she gave me a blueberry jam recipe in return. I also did a spot of gifting, including giving Celine a tulip. I then headed to the shop to stock up on yet more seeds. I realized I hadn't yet bought a shovel and also decided to invest in that. Nora sent me a recipe for cabbage slaw. I'm actually a huge coleslaw fan. I feel like you're a lover or a hater. I'm definitely a lover. I then decided today was going to be a mining day, so I headed straight there. Nearly forgot that I can actually use the elevator because I had a close call with 2 monsters, but I came out on top and I got a red toadstool for the first time. I made it to level 10 by the skin of my teeth, and there was a brief whisper, but I couldn't investigate further with my current health. In need of some help with my combat, I'd made some purchases at the shrine. I selected the Guardian Shield and the True Strike. I also settled on the Ore Original enhancement, mainly for the pun. From the loot in the mines, I made 4 donations to the museum. I then went to bed and the Calderus had a message for me. A spell has been unlocked, the full restore spell. I'm so excited for this. I cannot tell you how much of a game changer this will be. Day 17 is Spring Festival Day and Celine arrived bright and early and I handed over 35 flowers. I really hope these are enough to get a good score. I accepted the quest for the mill restoration, then headed to town for the festival. I came in second place. Boo. And Celine obviously won. Is this a fix? Did Celine win for everyone? I did, however, get the Breath of Spring planter and basket, and that cheered me up because these are adorable. I headed to Nora's stall and purchased a wreath and another planter. What a mistake that was, because I could have bought a flower crown. Why did I not save up more money for this festival? I did a spot of fishing and donated 2 fish, then headed back out for yet more fishing, and this time I found a big fish at the beach and a school, which I managed to successfully do this time. This all allowed me to make 3 further donations. I decided it was time I treated myself to a new copper axe, and I decorated a little bit, then headed to bed. On day 18, I spent most of the morning working on my farm. There was lots to harvest. I also did some chopping of wood with my brand new axe. I then headed to town to buy yet more seeds and stopped by the inn to make some sliced turnips. Yay, delicious. I then headed to the office to discuss the mill. I feel like this is going to be a very big job. Lots of wood and stone needed for this one. I planted my new seeds, then upgraded my fishing skills so I have all the tier 1 achievements now. I managed to catch a rare moth, but I actually fainted getting home. This is the first time I've done that, and I used to always do it in Stardew, so I'm quite proud of myself for making it this far. The next day, I turned some berries to Elsie for a quest and got a wild berry scone. Scone? Then I decided today was going to be grinding in the mines day. I got to level 12, but my health and stamina was getting so low that I returned to the top, and then, like an absolute numpty, I remembered that I can use the full restore spell, so those 2 levels that I had just done were totally wasted. I headed back down, managed to get to level 13 just as a notification that the time was getting late was made, but I decided to ignore it as there was a gold chest which gave me lots of copper ore and a ruby. Knowing that I was never going to make it home before the clock strikes 2 AM, I made 3 donations at the museum. Market day rolled around pretty quickly yet again. This morning Errol sent me a recipe for the baked sweet root. I used the shrine to upgrade my blacksmithing, and I unlocked the copper expert, time sensitive and the sharp blacksmithing. I also unlocked the unpeatable section for archaeology. I did a spot of fishing and caught some river fish for spring that I had not yet found. I then headed to the market and turned in Celine's request for peat and sod for her garden. I also used my new shrine skills to craft some iron ingots, which caused my blacksmith level to fly up to level 9. I donated 2 of the copper ingots to the mill and donated 2 fish and a strawberry, which turns out I hadn't already done. I then finished the day out by chopping lots and lots of wood. The town continues to make improvements. We're now on level 17. I bought some saplings. I realised I made a huge mistake by not buying these sooner, but I will have them ready for next year. I chopped down some more trees to get the final amount of wood needed for the mill. I donated the wood but forgot to get the stone, so I had to run back all the way to my farm. I also decided to grab the remaining spring crops needed for the museum, then went ahead and donated them. I completed the mill. Now all we have to do is just earn some tesserae. I turned in a request to Landon for some wood, and I made some jam to sell, thinking that this would make me some good money. I also chopped some more turnips, because sliced turnips are just delicious now apparently. I tried to smell everything I could for the 1k needed. Turns out I made 2,233 gold, which is more than enough. On day 22 we hit level 18, and the first order of the day was to turn in that pesky mill quest. Thankfully yesterday's profitable day really helped out with this one. I went ahead to see what was required for the coop, but unfortunately we're not quite there yet. I then did some fishing and I got a silver chest with the summer salad recipe inside. I went ahead, spent some time foraging and found a leek that was needed to give Rena, obviously my favourite person, so I would prioritise her. In return for the leek she gave me a potato soup. I'm not mad at this one. I caught a relic crab just chilling on the beach and then did a little bit more fishing and remembered to donate before the day was done. Hayden sent me a message inviting me over for tea, and even though I don't like tea, I definitely want to learn about raising cute animals. I collected my level up rewards and then headed to the carpenter to purchase a coop. I then headed down to Hayden's farm. I built my coop, then went to try and adopt an animal, but I didn't quite have enough. I went and did some fishing to try and earn some money and caught some new species in the process. I then headed to the dig site and got some more peat, and just outside the site was an ancient horned circlet. I donated 3 items to finish the day. On to day 24, and it's my birthday, but no one seemed to care or remember that it was my birthday, which made me sad. I think I might have made a mistake setting it so early because I don't have the friendships required, maybe, perhaps. I upgraded all of the archaeology points that I could and then headed to the mines. I managed to get pretty deep in the mines and used my stamina spell, which really helped me get further. I had quite a lot of energy left, so decided to keep going, but yet again I didn't leave myself enough time to get home. This is becoming a recurring theme. On day 25 the town hit level 20, which Adeline informed me was the rating of the town prior to the earthquake. She also sent me a delicious looking strawberry shortcake as a reward. There is no rest for the wicked though, as Adeline has already asked me to meet her ready for the next project. I went ahead and finally adopted my first chicken and decided to call it Iris. I like to name my farm animals after flowers. You will see that later on. I realised I still have a few fish to catch before the end of spring, and I went ahead and frantically did some fishing. I also managed to catch a water sphere and donated that. I then headed to the inn and did some gifting to spend the evening. The next day was the last day that I could harvest my strawberries for the season. I remembered to tend to my chicken. We will see how long this lasts. I upgrade my ranching at the shrine, and I went for the barnyard bounty, which gives a chance for extra produce drops, and the close bond. I did a little bit of fishing and managed to secure a gold chest, which gave me a whole bunch of gold and a spicy crab sushi. I headed to the manor to see what this beautification project was all about. We first started off by cleaning the cracks in the town, then we moved to the museum, and this gave the group the bright idea to fix the steps. This unlocked a brand new area which allowed me to get some lemons, and I also encountered this fountain well type thing, which drinking from it seems to restore some of your stamina. I remembered to head to the dig site. I had not been there for a few days, and there were 4 spots around the area. From one of them I managed to get the ancient stone lantern. I then headed to the inn as it was Friday night and did a spot of gifting again, and I really wanted to focus on getting my relationship up with Rena. Let me know in the comments who you're trying to romance. My good friend A Clumsy Pumpkin is trying to romance Eland, and she's doing her own 100 days of Fields of Mistria, so be sure to check out her channel in the description below. I then realised I actually had enough money to purchase another chicken. This time I went for a male so that I can breed it, and then headed to the beach for some more fishing. I fished up an identified object which turned out to be a coin lump, and I also went diving and found a rusted shield for the first time. I made a rad rush to donate these before the day finished, and for once I actually made it to bed before 2 AM. We're on to the penultimate day of spring, and I had a message from Terethia that the new copper fishing rod is available in the shop. It was also Saturday market day, and I decided to purchase the lemonade recipe and the sunflower vase. I did a little bit of blacksmithing and made some more copper ingots, and then crafted a copper sword and headed to the mines to put it to the test. I made it to level 20 on this day, but there was a peculiar cutscene which involved a water panel inscription, and I could not understand it. And then I headed to Eland, and he soon realised that we needed Juniper's help to decipher the message. Despite her sassiness, we got the answers we were looking for, and the rubbing made reference to 4 items that we were required to offer. I almost forgot to tend to my chickens, but remembered and even topped up their food. What a good rancher I am. It was the final day of spring, and luckily my cabbages were ready to be harvested. I tended to my chickens and actually remembered to let them outside so they aren't cooped up in their coop any longer. I finally found a nettle and donated that to the museum, which was just in time to complete the spring forage bundle, and that gave me 2 copper ingots and some farmer's overalls. I then headed to the mines yet again to try and find the required items. I already had a ruby, so it was just a lantern bug, a stone loach, and a brown mushroom to find. While searching, I found a copper chest which gave me a miner's jumpsuit, and I managed to get the mushroom and the lantern moth, but unfortunately the fish evaded me. I stayed in the mines as long as I could and even managed to make it to bed on time. Day 29 was the first day of summer, and the grass had more of a green tone to it. How beautiful are the flowers in summer? I think they're really lovely. And then I went out on a mad kind of spree to see what all the new things were. I found some oregano, and I also found a Colossian emperor bust from an unidentified object. I found a cosmos. I love them, so happy to see them in the game. Hydrangea bushes are also so beautiful. I caught my first summer bug, which was a straw hopper, and I saw a big shadow lurking in the pond, and I decided to stick around if I could catch it, and then I jumped in the pond and scared it away. What a rookie mistake. I also found a daisy, which just happens to be my favourite flower. I found some pears from a pear tree, and also some basil, which will be perfect for cooking some Italian themed dishes. Whilst on my way to the museum, I stopped off to craft some ingots, and I crafted a new hoe and a watering can to make the summer farming a little bit easier on me. My pockets were full, so I made a quick run to the museum, and I'll be back for you later, tools. I made a whopping 8 donations, then purchased some seeds, including one of the season's saplings. I'm not making that mistake again, and I headed back to the farm to plant them. I realised I hadn't read my mail, which asked for me to meet Adeline in the store, and I purchased all of the tier 1 points for woodcrafting in an attempt to get my level up. I also purchased 3 of the 4 tier 1 perks for cooking, and I put my watering can to the test. I'm actually a fan of this. I then headed to the store, and the plans weren't about my struggling farm, but about upgrading the general store, and they want so much from me. 500 stone, 300 wood, and the most painful thing right now is the 3,000 tesserae. Do they think I'm made of money? But I guess this is all for the sake of the town. Not in the mood to speak to anyone after the bombshell, I continued my exploration of summer and found some peaches. I also found some sesame and some catmint. I remembered to plant my remaining daisy seeds, then headed to bed. Day 30 is Elsie's birthday, and there is a very high chance I will forget to gift her, as I am a bad neighbour. I did, however, remember to tend to my chickens, and they had laid their first ever egg. Elsie sent me a poached pear recipe, and Adeline had sent me peaches and cream. I spent all of my money on seeds, and then I found an Aldarian wall banner whilst on my way to the museum. I also picked an iris for the first time. They are very pretty. I made 4 donations, then headed to the mines to try and find this pesky fish. I found a mine cricket for the first time, and eager to progress, I didn't pay much attention to my health bar and died for the first time in the mines. This transported me to the lovely Dr. Valen, and then unfortunately that ended the day for me. Although yesterday didn't quite go how I planned, the town is now level 22 and we seem to have a leprechaun inspired outfit as a prize. I still have all my items though, so that is a huge bonus. It was also a rainy day, so no watering was required. I remembered to send my chickens inside so that they didn't get wet feathers, and then headed to the mines to finally finish the offerings. I nearly died a couple of times. I really cannot figure out how to deal with these shooting monster rocks very well. But I did finally catch the fish needed and made the donations, and then I met the ever graceful priestess for the first time, and then had this cutscene with the dragon statue also. On to day 32, and I started the day by doing a spot of farming. I did make 3 donations and completed the Upper Mines insect set, and guess what I got from the chest? Sliced turnips. I managed to forge 6 copper ingots, so I decided to invest in a copper fishing rod. The rest of my energy was spent cleaning up the farm and trying to get more resources for the shop expansion. I had a bountiful daisy harvest the next morning, and I finally remembered to buy the peach sapling. I found some daffodils that I had left behind from spring. I picked my first ever thyme and discovered you can actually harvest these things in the water, and this is how you get water chestnuts. I feel like such an umpty. I found some great trees on the western side. Anyone for some wine? I also acquired a marigold in the ruins. The rooster had shredded a feather the next day. I hope this isn't painful. My cucumbers were finally ready. I wonder if we'll be getting a sliced cucumber recipe. I made 3 donations, and with the marigold I got yesterday, I managed to complete the summer flower set. The game must know I am a caffeine addict, as I got a latte as a reward. Behind the museum, I found a dill for the first time, so I turned that in straight away. I dug up lots of repeats at the archaeological site, and I did manage to get a rusted treasure chest from fishing. So guess what? Back to the museum I went. On day 35, the town had ranked up yet again, and I was very appreciative of another rainy day. The recipe wasn't sliced cucumbers, it turned out to be a cucumber salad. I spent the day foraging and fishing, and I was today years old when I learned you can pick the cattails. I thought that they were just here for decoration. I made 5 donations to the museum, then went back to yet more fishing and foraging. I got a gold chest and I got some sushi, which I enjoyed to keep my energy levels up. I found some coconut trees, and luckily they fell into my hands and not on my head. I then enjoyed a very relaxing evening fishing in the rain on the beach. I am living the dream. From all that fishing, I could only make 3 donations. The town rank is officially level 24, and Landon sent me the coconut milk recipe. I assessed what resources were needed for the shop upgrade. Although I now have the stone and the copper ingots, the wood still has a long way to go, so I decided to focus on that. And after all that back-breaking work, I was finally able to donate the wood, stone and copper. Now just the iron ingots remain. With my bank balance looking pretty healthy, I decided to invest back in the farm and bought lots of seeds. After discovering the water chestnuts, I was finally able to cook up some trail mix for Josephine, and I also made some cabbage slaw. When I came out of the inn, there was a mysterious flashing bug which turned out to be a magma beetle. I headed back to the farm and I planted my crops, and before bed I headed to the shrine to upgrade my farming yet again. This time I selected the bountiful and well-watered options. Day 37 was another rainy day. It's seriously feeling like a typical British summer here. I collected 2 eggs from my chickens and headed straight to the museum to make 2 donations. It's time to gather some of the iron required for the store, so off to the mines I go. I love the underwater vibes of these levels, and these monsters are definitely a little harder. I managed to find my first iron, but I'm going to need a lot more of this. I discovered you can jump into the whirlpools, which is a fun little feature. From my time at the mines, I managed to make 7 donations in total, and my iron haul was not too shabby. All of those museum donations helped the town reach level 25, and March sent a letter saying that new iron tools were now in stock. I also received 3 new recipes: the deep sea soup, tomato soup, and grilled corn. I forged some more iron bars, but this is not going to be enough. enough, so another day in the mines was needed. After my time in the mines, I managed to turn in the 5 iron ingots required, just the 3,000 tesserae remains. I did some frantic selling and went to bed hoping that we'll be able to get the store upgraded tomorrow. Thankfully, all of those sales had done it and we now officially have it enough for the general store upgrade. I tended to my farm and I'm really enjoying having this upgraded watering can so early on in the game. I went ahead and finished off the repair needed for the general store, and then I popped in and had a peruse of all of the new things, and of course I bought some new seeds. I did a spot of woodcrafting as this is one of my skill levels that is severely lacking, then headed to the farm to place down some of my new furniture items. I did a little bit of foraging and donated 2 items to the museum. I also visited the dig site and found an ancient crystal goblet which is needed for the museum also. On day 40, I spent the morning clearing up the farm a bit more so I could get some much needed wood. This feels like a never-ending task. Whilst on my farm, I took a break and caught a giant harpoon. In the shop, I had a look over the cooking ingredients to try more recipes, but the prices scared me off. I did, however, manage to cook some slaw, and there were so many interesting chats in the inn today. I gifted Rena some cabbage slaw, and turns out she really loved it. Love me as much as you love that slaw, Rena. I upgraded my ranching, blacksmithing, and cooking at the shrine, so all the tier 1 perks are complete. I then headed to bed for an early night, which is a very rare occurrence for me. The next day was, of course, Saturday market day. I tended to my farm and got 3 free seeds. Those perks are really paying off. As Saturday was market day, I stopped by to see what was on offer. I really wanted to save for the barn to get some cute cows, but I saw this lily pad hat in the market and knew I needed it. I also purchased a recipe for a picnic basket because it is so cute. Now to do some serious fishing to earn some more money. To do this, I decided the beach would be the best spot, and whilst on my way, I found an unidentified object, which turned out to be an outer feather pendant. On the beach, I also found a char for the first time. Once my pockets got full, I ran home and opened my treasure chest, which gave me some cranberry seeds ready for fall. Unfortunately, I didn't quite make enough money for the barn, but it is Celine's birthday and I must remember to get her a gift. I had a letter from Adeline and Torithia about repairing a bridge near to the beach. I went into Celine's cottage to try and find her, and oh my god, although she wasn't there, her interiors are absolutely beautiful. I made 4 more donations, then headed to the beach to find out what was required for this next project. I'm gonna need to chop a lot of trees for this one. Celine was relaxing on the beach in her swimsuit and she looks very pretty. This swimsuit is goals. I gave her a strawberry for her birthday. I really hope she enjoyed it. Time for more fishing, and I found a stingray and a dart for the first time. And then obviously I chopped down a whole bunch of wood, but I'm still only halfway there. But finally, we have enough money to purchase a barn. The town is now level 26, and Nora sent me a recipe for the spicy water chestnuts. I decided to save the trees on my farm and chop some trees in town for a change of scenery. Whilst there, I noticed a school of fish, so I decided to fish it, and I'm glad I did because I got a whole bunch of gold and sugar. I know my goal was to purchase a barn, but instead I decided to invest in increasing my inventory size. I then ran to the museum to make even more donations, and on my way back I found a speedy snail running through town. I made some candy strawberries with my free sugar and also invested in some coconut milk. Another evening was spent chopping down trees, and we're getting very close to the 300 required. The next day, I had a mail from Reese to let me know the level 2 kitchen is available at the carpenter shop, then chopped some more wood, and then headed to make some donations. I found Torethia to finish the quest, and we got to work building the new bridge. I was excited to explore what lies beyond. I found another water fountain, would be rude not to drink from it, but apart from that, there wasn't a lot else here. I did some pretty successful fishing though to finish the rest of the day, and that did make me some decent money. Day 45 was a rainy day and I harvested a watermelon for the first time. I also got some sugar cane as well, so now I can officially make my own sugar at the mill. Josephine sent me a recipe for rose tea, and I decided to head to the mines to further explore the iron levels. Before heading in, I remembered to upgrade my combat and mining levels at the shrine. This wasn't a successful mining trip and I died on the next level. Maybe it's time to invest in some armor. My farm is seriously starting to grow now, which means there's a lot more work here. Adeline also sent me a letter about replenishing the food reserves even more and requested me to meet at Hayden's farm. Before we do that, I finally want to build my barn. I accepted another request, this time for clay. I really should work through some of my requests, they are building up. I headed to the mill to make some mayo, paper and sugar, then went to the carpenter's shop to buy the barn and also the level 2 kitchen. Whilst I was at the carpenter, I decided to craft some white picket fence, a birdhouse and that picnic basket. I placed the barn but needed yet more wood, maybe maybe I shouldn't have done the crafting. I chopped down more trees but then ran out of energy. I placed down my kitchen and went to bed. On day 47, I used my new kitchen and brewed up some lemonade, and I finally finished off the barn. I remembered to head to Hayden's so I can learn more about the rations and also purchase a cow. Turns out they want cheese, and as I currently have no cows, this is getting off to a good start. They also want 12 eggs. I am now regretting using 3 on mayonnaise yesterday. So now here's the other problem. I also need 2,000 for a cow, damn it. Left feeling a little bit depressed from the conversation at Hayden's farm, I decided the mines would cheer me up and tried to get some more ore to make some armor. Whilst there, I unlocked a mine shell from a chest. Level 19 was really nice, lots of ore, and also a chest which had another mine shelf. On the morning of day 48, I went to buy my cow, now I have the money. But I will not be keeping this name. Call me childish, but oh my. I went with a more PG name of Rose. She is cute and I hope she makes us lots of milk because I definitely need it. I gathered some items that were needed for the request and headed to town. This was a super easy thing to do. It was Saturday and everyone was crowded around the market. I'm still not warming to Juniper, and even less so after she gave me a monster mash as a reward. I don't think I'll be eating this. I went ahead and did some blacksmithing. I made some ingots and also got some armor for the first time. Hopefully I'll be avoiding visiting Valen at the hospital. In the mines, I found a water fly for the first time, and there was this mysterious switch, which of course I had to activate. I'm still not sure what it did, but stuff definitely changed. I also found another chest which dropped a verdigris sword, and this is an improvement, so I will be using this one from now on. The notification of being late came, but I saw a gold chest, so I went for it and got a coral chair. Zero regret. I quickly ran home and spotted a firefly on the way, and just as I got to my front door, I fainted. Typical. We're nearly at the halfway mark and the town leveled up to level 28, and I forgot to send my animals inside again. As it was raining, I did the nice thing and quickly called them inside. I found Celine who wanted some coral and she rewarded me with some much needed tesserae. I collected a town level up reward, which was some cute leaf hair clips. I purchased some more seeds and managed to make 4 iron ingots from yesterday's mining trip. I decided to upgrade my iron pickaxe. 3 donations were made to the museum and I completed the Tide Cabin's insect set, which gave me the beekeeper's shirt, and within the chest was a whole bunch of gold and some pumpkin seeds. River fishing in the dark was pretty lucrative, and this school of fish just kept giving and giving. I finished off the day with some cooking and decided to sell these to go towards the cow fund. I've officially made it to halfway as it is now day 50 and the town is now level 29. I tended to my animals and decided it was time to make them breed, so I headed to the farm supply shop and bought 2 heart-shaped treats and let the magic happen. Hopefully we'll have a baby chick soon. I revisited the fateful island where I got stuck, not making that mistake again, but it did pay off as I found a night queen. I went diving and found an unidentified object which turned out to be a rainbow seaweed. Very fancy. I eventually found some shards for the first time. I've never found these before. How have we made it this far? 2 donations were made and that completed the summer fish set, which gave me this really cute fishing hat. On my way home, I chopped some trees to replenish my wood supplies and I sold all my fish and duplicate artifacts, hoping that this would be enough to buy a cow. Frustratingly, it wasn't. The next morning, I checked on my egg, but it's quiet. Is this a bad sign or is this just how it happens? After not having enough to buy a cow, I had a quick scroll through my request and found that if I gave a sapphire to Hemlock, I will get 150 tesserae. So I ran straight to the inn and tesserae secured. I went for a spotted cow and decided to name it Peony. I also made sure to select male so future breeding can happen. I headed to the beach and spotted a beach hopper just chilling, so I managed to catch it. And then I just spent the rest of the day relaxing with some fishing. That is a phrase I never thought I would say. The next day started off by arranging my chests a little bit as they are total chaos right now. I then did a spot of cooking, making vegetable soup and lots of coconut milk. I donated the tarpoon to the museum, which completed the summer river set. In the mines, level 26 was a nice little treat, lots of ores, and there was a gold chest which contained a mana potion, gold, and a coral table. Level 27 also had a gold chest, which had a recipe for an ornamental iron node. I made it to level 30, which means that another layer for the elevator is unlocked. At level 32, it was time to think about getting home as it was getting late, but I didn't quite make it in time. I spent the morning of day 53 slaving away in the kitchen to prep some meals to sell. I checked on the egg again and apparently it's moving, so it's going to hatch soon. I am also halfway there on the eggs required for the replenish the stockpile quest. I made some serious perk upgrades, leveling up all the farming and archaeology ones to tier 2, and unlocked the first tier 2 option for blacksmithing, which will make iron ingots cheaper to craft. This will definitely come in handy. I made 5 donations to the museum, which completed the summer crop set and the dig site material set. The prizes include a spring single bed and a spring double bed. These are very cute. I went and made some iron ingots, which I used to make the iron watering can and the iron axe. I made 3,661 tesserae on this day, which was pretty dang good. Guess everyone really does like corn. The town rank is now level 30, which means we are ruby. Very fancy. My first egg finally hatched. Is this a red or pink chicken? I'm not sure, but either way, it shall be called Poppy. Adeline sent a reward of 3 iron ingots for making it to ruby town rank. I tended to my animals, including my new little Poppy. Very cute. In the barn, I also found my first milk. I crafted a bunch of different coloured chests so that I could do some organising, and it was time to drop off some hard-earned money on the lovely cottage scroll bundle. Upon checking the requirements for the home upgrade, I decided I'm not ready for this, and I am in awe of these cute recipes. I immediately crafted the rug and the plant shelf, literally so cute. I've been ignoring the request board and the rewards for leveling up for a while, so I stopped by to collect them, and I also got a recipe for a training dummy. I then spent the rest of the day creating a little storage area with all of my new colourful chests and popped down some of my new items. So cozy. Day 55 is the penultimate day of summer, and I'm starting to get excited for fall. Now I have 1 baby chick, it was time to make magic happen again, so I fed the chickens some more heart treats. I headed to town for the last Saturday market of summer, and whilst there, I gifted Raina a night blossom, and she seemed to like it. These people really want coffee. I decided to treat Celine to a rose tea because I'm nice like that, and treated myself to some new recipes at Mary's stall. Whilst out on the eastern side, I finally tried to cut this big rock, and it led to a shrine area. I donated 500 tesserae and received a recipe for fried rice, one of my actual favourite meals in real life. This got me thinking, I can also destroy the rock at the top, and up here I discovered some stairs covered in vines which lead to deep woods. Mystical. There was also another water fountain here. On to the final day of summer, and it's time to clear up the farm so I can plan out a new farm layout for autumn. I also forgot about my fruit trees that were down here. I have definitely neglected them. The cows are all grown up for treats, or apparently not. They aren't 2 hearts yet. Damn it. I decided to go to the carpenter shop and finally buy a crafting station to have at home, and I chopped yet more wood and donated 100 tesserae into the well today, and this time I got a latte. Coffee. I sent all the animals to bed and kept clearing the farm. Hopefully my mining didn't keep them up all night. The next day was of course the first day of fall, and everything is so brown and orange toned. I didn't expect it to be this much. I cleared out my weeds, then headed to town for some serious seed buying. On the way, I found a heather. I remembered to buy this season's sapling and spent all of my money on different varieties of seeds. I found a chestnut on the way back to the farm, then decided on my new farm layout. I decided to have squares of 9, which hopefully I can fill with all 1 seed. After planting all of my crops and watering them, it was time for bed. That was exhausting work. The next morning, I remembered to plant my autumn fruit trees, then decided it was time for a new wallpaper, much better. It was also a morning for exploring all of the new autumn forageables. I found apples, blackberries, moon fruit, a viola flower, a fog orchid, and some garlic. I hear that goes well with bread. I made 7 donations to the museum, then headed to the western side where I found a horseradish and some rosemary. That pretty much had me foraged out for the day. On the 3rd day of fall, I was gifted with another bundle of joy, aka a baby chick. Although Baguette is a very cute name, it's not on brand, so I went with Lily. Dell also sent me a recipe for apple juice. Looks like he doesn't just drink coffee all the time. The cows are still not at 2 hearts, but I did manage to catch a leafhopper chilling on the steps in town, and I donated the 12 eggs to the inn. I also found a monarch butterfly, which definitely screams autumn. I then found a fishing spot where I found a butterfish. I wonder if this is good on toast. I made 8 donations and completed the full forage set and got very excited for this flower vase lamp. Day 60, and we finally managed to hit level 31. Progress definitely feels slower at the moment. The morning was spent on the beach fishing and collecting shells, and that fishing theme continued throughout the day and into the night. Not all of my catches were lucrative though. And of all those fish caught, I could only make one donation to the museum. And at 1 AM, I realized I had made a rookie mistake and forgotten to water my crops. Oops. On to day 61, and I made some delicious recipes, but unfortunately these aren't for my stomach, they are for the shipping bin. I donated a flower to the museum and just one more to find for the autumn flower set, then headed to the mines. I made it to level 36, but it was time to head home for the night. And all of that cooking was worth it for the 2,870 tesserae that I made today. The next day was the third Saturday market of fall, and with my money from yesterday I decided to be a little bit frivolous and bought some tea recipes from Darcy and some more furniture recipes from Mary. I filled my social bar by talking to some of the locals, including my girl Raina. I also made some sensible purchases of yet more seeds. With my iron ore from yesterday's trip in the mines, I managed to make an iron shovel and the iron fishing rod. I popped to the museum to make an artifact donation and finished the day with a spot of foraging where I found another artifact, so went straight to the museum. This donation actually completed the ancient artifact set. The town rank climbed again the next morning. I also had a letter from Nora with an onion soup recipe and one from Reese informing me that new medium barns and coops are available at the carpenter's store. I also remembered to plant the seeds that I bought yesterday, and some of my autumn crops are becoming available for harvesting. My shrine points are really starting to stack up, so I paid a visit to the Dragon Shrine and went a little crazy. The rest of the sunny fall afternoon was spent fishing and foraging. Whilst fishing in the evening, I discovered an unidentified object which turned out to be a rubber fish. That's definitely new. I also got a lot of soy sauce from the chest, but I'll have to come back for this later. The next morning started off by making some serious sales. I also decided to treat my animals to a new seesaw and an animal ball court. I had a recipe for steamed broccoli in my mailbox, very healthy. I felt like a spot of mining, so decided to try and reach level 40. I made quick progress getting to level 37 in no time. On level 39 there was a silver chest which had a Tide Touch cavern wallpaper, and just like that we had hit level 40. The priestess was back again and wanted to break another seal. I received an earth tablet rubbing, and in the gold chest there was 9 iron ore and an ornamental iron node. I ran straight to the inn to find Juniper to help decipher the tablet, but for this rubbing we needed the help of Celine, and with her brains we were able to figure out the next requirements. A storm was brewing the next morning and it seemed to have done wonders for my crops, and I took this opportunity to purchase yet more seeds. Nora sent me a cranberry juice recipe. If you know, you know. Frustrated that my cow heart level was not increasing, I headed to the mill to make some fancy animal feed and also make some other useful products whilst there, if you count cheese and mayo as useful. I had a little cooking storm before heading to bed, which turned out to be very lucrative. My cooking session paid off and I got 4,430 tesserae, which means we should have enough to start looking at barn expansions. On day 66, Nora gifted me a wholesome pumpkin stew recipe. I purchased yet more seeds from the store. Their profits must be on the up. I added 2 flowery wheelbarrows to my farm just to zhuzh it up a little bit. Peony still isn't at 2 hearts. All I want is a cute colourful cow. I visited level 40 in the mines and donated a sapphire and jade dolls that I already had, then set about finding the archfish and the coral mantis. My first fish was not an archfish but a transparent jellyfish, and as I entered level 23, a coral mantis was just sat at the bottom ladder. Thank you for making that pain-free. Before I did something stupid like sell it, I made sure to donate it. Day 67 was another rainy day, so I thought this was a perfect day to continue to try and find the archfish. Instead, I found some sea grapes and a mini whale shark, but eventually the archfish was mine. I popped back down to level 40 and turned it in, then cue this cutscene where the priestess thanks me for breaking the seal and rewarded me with a heart crystal, which seemed to increase my health limit. As I am a nosy person, I had a sneak peek at level 41 and found some silver ore for the first time. I then headed to the museum and made 3 donations, which completed the Tide Caverns forage set, and this awarded me with a daisy rug. I am in love. Upon my return to the farm, Caldorus wanted to talk, and for breaking the seal, he rewarded me with a growth spell, which instantly grows plants. He also informed me there are 3 seals remaining. The town is now level 33, and I will never say no to more tesserae. March sent me a note to let me know silver tools and armor are now available. There was a bountiful harvest today, and if lots of crops didn't make me happy, look at the chickens on this seesaw. My heart literally melted. I decided the farm was looking a little bit drab, so made some pathing and placed it in between the crops. The cows clearly got jealous of the attention that I had given the chickens because they decided to play with their ball as well. On my way to the inn for Friday night celebrations, I found a cicada nymph in town, and there was some serious tea tonight in the inn. Do I sense tension between Juniper and Valen? Ulrich is maybe winning at poker again, and Adeline being down to 1 HP sounds very familiar. And go Snickle Fritz! I also nearly forgot Raina's birthday, but luckily I had some food on hand. I bought the potato soup and the sweet pie recipe from the inn also. Ironically, on day 69, Peony finally hit level 2 and it was time to get the baby cow making underway. All that cooking must be paying off as there is a level 3 kitchen now available at the carpenter store. I threw 500 tesserae in the well and got a berry bowl. This one wasn't profitable. With a new baby on the way, I was thinking it was time to go ahead and purchase a medium coupe, and my spending continued as I purchased a roasted rice tea recipe and a tea with lemon recipe from the Saturday market. I accepted a quest to give Valen a moon fruit. Thankfully, I already had one in my pocket, so I turned it in straight away. Making cheese helped the rest of the day speed by, and then I rushed to place my new coupe before the day ended. The next day was a rainy full day and I harvested my first sweet potato. I placed the coupe, but I didn't finish it yesterday, so thankfully it was pretty instant to get sorted. Whilst petting the cows, a shiny bead dropped. I have no clue what to do with this right now, but I feel like I should save it. I upgraded all of the ranching tier 2 unlockables at the shrine, and just 4 more cheese is required for the inn donations. I then decided to explore the deep earth mine levels a bit further. I found a crystal wing moth and explored around a bit until a mushroom exploded, and that was the end of me. Thanks for fixing me up, Valen. Nora gifted me another full recipe. This time it was roasted sweet potato. I made 4 donations to the museum, but apart from that, day 71 was pretty uneventful. I managed to visit the dig site and did a spot of fishing until it got late. Day 72 was a rainy day. The iron fishing rod is now being sold at Terethia's tackle store, but I've already crafted it, so I will not be wasting my money. I planted more seeds but couldn't figure out what was what, so my neat farm is going to be a mess again. I am wanting to breed my 2 tier 2 chickens, that's a mouthful, but they aren't quite at level 2 hearts yet. I did some rainy day fishing and caught a lot of new fish. I then contributed to the well and got some fried rice, delicious. The new fish and some random finds let me make 7 donations to the museum, and I completed the full river fish set. The town is now on level 34 and we have a baby cow. Not quite the cute colour yet, but I decided to name it Lavender. I spent most of the day chopping and cooking, and I sold most of what was made apart from those with restorative perks. I did a spot of fishing on the beach to try and find the missing full ocean fish, but didn't have any luck. I did come away with a walking leaf though. Day 74 started off with some orange juice for breakfast, then I got back to chopping lots of wood. For all of that back-breaking work, I decided to reward myself with a house upgrade. This is costing me a lot, so I really hope it's worth it. I popped into the inn looking to gift Rena, but she was nowhere to be found. I eventually bumped into her outside and treated her to something delicious. Before bed, I did a spot of evening fishing and found a rainbow trout and a koi for the first time. My home grade was instant, and now there is a lot more space. On day 75, I jumped out of bed and decided to do some redecorating. Top tip: don't hit the chest, otherwise your house will look like this. Whilst arranging the chest, I got a message from Celine to talk to her about a flower, and then I got back to my decorating, but I'm gonna need a lot more resources. I decided to use the living off the land upgrade at the shrine, which means that I will now get cooked dishes dropping from my crops. I eventually went ahead and spoke to Celine and we bonded over our love of flowers, and eventually we located the seed that she was looking for. I remembered to visit the request board and collect some rewards, one of which was the Mistria history book recipe. Fresh out of copper, I headed to the lower levels of the mines. On my way home, I found a mist moth, then I literally fell asleep on my bed. I was so close. The next morning, I checked my chickens again. We're still not having any luck. I wasted no time in heading to the Saturday market and had a little gossip with some of the villagers, then headed to the museum to donate the mist moth. I went back to the mines to grab yet more ores and donated a brown mushroom on my way home, and this completed the upper mines forage set, and I got this really cute sofa as a reward. Last night, I forgot to send my animals inside again. We are never going to get to 2 hearts at this rate. I tended to my crops and the upgrade at the shrine has paid off. I got a cranberry scone from harvesting cranberries. Errol very kindly sent me the miner's mushroom stew recipe, and I crafted some ingots and made some produce at the mill. For the first time, I spotted a non-orange butterfly, which turned out to be the tiger swallowtail butterfly. The next morning, the chickens had finally hit level 2, but I couldn't breed them just yet as there was not enough space in the coop. So I moved Poppy and Lily out of their parents' house to go it alone. After this move, it allowed me to feed the heart treats, and I'm so excited to see their tier 3 baby chick. I crafted some new furniture so my house doesn't feel so empty, but there is still a long way to go. I donated 2 more cheese, then spent some time fishing. Has this game made me like fishing now? I donated to the well again, and this time I got a spicy cheddar biscuit recipe. On day 79, I finally got the milk required for the final pieces of cheese, so the first task of the day was to head straight to the mill. I made the cheese and also created lots of rice, flour, and of course, mayonnaise. I filled up the donation box, then found Adeline to turn in the request. To celebrate the quest completion, Raina and Hemlock made a delicious meal. As a reward for the quest, I received a cow cheese hat and a chicken egg hat. My animals are gonna look exceptional. On to day 80 and another town level was unlocked. Started the morning with some cooking, including a lot of bread, because who doesn't love bread? I popped into Hayden's shop and purchased some more breeding treats and got some cute accessories as well. I decided to breed my OG chickens to see what happens this time. There is gonna be chickens everywhere. Whilst collecting my pumpkins, a harvest plate and a pumpkin stew dropped, and I came across Raina and Celine hanging out with the kids, teaching them about gardening. I gave Raina a pumpkin stew. The way to her heart is definitely through her stomach. And it turns out Maple is the #1 potato lover in Mistria. Who knew? Day 81 was another rainy day. Adeline sent me a message to meet her at Hayden's farm for another project. How much is this one gonna cost me? My tier 2 cow Lavender now has 2 hearts, so I decided to breed her. I then headed to Hayden's, where Adeline and Hayden ran over the plans to stock more animals, which will mean a larger barn. This is seriously going to cost me a fortune though. 400 wood and 4,000 tesserae. Ouch. I decided to make a start on the iron required, so headed straight to the mines. I was also finally able to upgrade all the tier 2 combats at the shrine. This should make my life a little bit easier. I made 6 donations and completed the full insect set. I then made it back to the farm in time, but whilst opening my chest, the day ended. The town level is flying up. We're now at level 36 and the celebrations continue as we have a new baby chicken, and it is blue. And of course, I couldn't resist calling it Bluebell. I headed to the ponds to get the missing full pond fish and got it on my 3rd try, and it was a white perch. I made a start on collecting some wood, then headed to the blacksmith to craft some ingots for Hayden. With the ingots made, I popped to the museum and completed the full pond fish set and the full crop set. The spring potted tree may now be my new favourite item. Day 83 was a dull fishing day, but I did treat myself to some sushi recipes at the tackle shop. I had no luck finding new fish, but I did make 2 donations to the museum. The next day was the final day of fall, and the farm has a new arrival. This time it's a grey, bluey coloured chicken, which is very cute. I went for the name Hyacinth. I had 0 luck again with the fishing. My energy got so low and I had to literally eat raw garlic. My breath is gonna smell amazing. But with no food, I ran home to bake some bread, then got back to the task at hand. I'm starting to wonder if this missing fish is in winter. Day 85 and we got a purple cow. This is not a drill. How stinking cute is this cow? In other news though, it is the first day of winter and everything is now coated with snow. For some reason, there were a whole bunch of sweet potatoes lying on the ground. Maybe I forgot to harvest them yesterday. I found my first winter insect, an ice hopper, then headed out to explore. I found a holly on my way to the general store. I also found an ice block. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to keep this cool. I spent half my balance on winter seeds, then found a crocus. I also sighted these weird bushes with what I thought was like holiday decorations. Nope, these are glowberries. I also found a jasmine, a poinsettia, snapdragon, and winter berries. With all of those forageables located, I made 6 donations. And also completed the grass insect set. I found some burdock root hiding behind the museum, and whilst heading home I also found some pomegranates. I always thought these were like a tropical fruit, apparently not. Then I ran to my farm because I'd forgotten to plant my seeds. Today was snowing and I think it's watered my crops. They definitely look like they've been watered. I chopped some trees around my farm, but this wasn't enough, so I headed to the eastern road for more deforestation. Whilst there, I found a frost lily and an oyster mushroom. I got slightly distracted by how classy Elsie's winter outfit is, then made 3 donations to the museum, which completed the winter flower set. The spring flooring is pretty cute. I found some pine shroom, which looks good enough to eat, and I finally had enough wood, so headed to Hayden's farm to donate. I ran to the inn to find Hayden, then realised it's not him I need to speak to, but nice winter coat nonetheless. I found Adeline chilling at Celine's house with Raina, and at midnight we all gathered together to upgrade the barns. Henrietta gave her seal of approval. I quickly ran and bought a duck called Daisy, original, I know. I'm gonna need to make some serious money to buy all of these animals. Sadly, there was no snow the next day, so I had to water my crops. Hayden sent a mail, or rather an advertisement for the new animals. I spent yet more points at the shrine and maxed out the blacksmithing perks. I found a winter pillar whilst on the way to town. I see what you did there. Collected my town rewards and got some ornate flagstone. This will definitely come in handy when it comes to farm decorating. I made 2 more donations to the museum, then spent all day milling. I sold lots of mayo and a lot of bread, which made me a lot of coin. That's going straight to the new animal fund. After seeing all the money I made yesterday from cooking, I woke up and got straight into the kitchen. I did a spot of crafting also to try and get my level up. Then I headed to Hayden's, where I sadly said goodbye to some chickens. Have a nice life. On a happier note though, I did purchase another duck and 2 capybaras. I gifted Henrietta some bread because she deserves all the attention, and made 2 donations at the museum. I then chopped yet more wood, as I'm going to need a lot for the new medium barn for sheep and alpacas. Before the day ended, I did some more chicken breeding. I started day 89 with a little bit of redecorating. The gaps are a little bit annoying, but I'm gonna ignore it. Another mail from Adeline about another project. Does this woman ever sleep? Raina sent me a mail about trying a dish of hers. Is this a date? And Elsie also sent me a recipe for some pomegranate sorbet. Just what I want in winter. I found a bright bulb moth whilst on my way to the inn, and inside the inn, me and Rena enjoyed some alone time, and she gave me a slice of her pie. That is not a euphemism. Adeline then really interrupted us to deliver some good news about Raina being accepted into a culinary competition, and I re-entered the inn for another time, and this time Adeline wanted to upgrade the inn. It sounds great, and the ability to buy decor items, I have to have it. The donation box I don't love though. 600 wood? Are they for real? The town rank is getting so close to level 40. I harvested some snow peas for the first time, and Valen sent me a recipe for a beet salad. And lucky about the farm, I found a frost flutter butterfly. It was then time for another Saturday market, and I treated Raina to a warming coffee. I donated 2 winter insects to the museum, then headed to the mines where I got lots more stone and more copper. Just 9 more days to go, and it's another snowy day. Sauteed snow peas recipe was received from Nora, and my ducks laid some eggs for the first time. I collected my town rewards, and one was for the Dragon Priestess fountain. It's very fancy. I then focused on chopping more wood, with a little bit of fishing thrown in just to break it up a bit. I managed to catch a burbot, a flathead catfish, for the first time at the ponds, then headed to the beach for yet more fishing and caught even more new fish, including a sea bass. It's a C+. The chicken breeding is paying off. We now have a pink chicken that is called Camilla. I had yet more recipes in my mailbox from Nora, this time for a braised burdock and a roasted cauliflower. I made a whopping 7 donations to the museum, then spent most of the day on an ore hunt in the mines. To relax, I finished the day with some decorating. My home is slowly starting to come together. Day 93, and I tended to my animals the next morning. I'm starting to wonder, is this too many animals? I'm spending a lot of time doing this. My first daikon radish was finally available, and also got back to wood chopping. This seems like a never-ending task at the moment. I did take a little bit of a break and made 2 donations to the museum, then realised the time and just decided to keep chopping until the very end. The next day, the town rank is level 39. I'm starting to think we could get to 40 before the end of the challenge. Nora sent me a simmered daikon recipe, and I stocked up on more seeds, then headed back to the farm to cook up some simmered daikon. I did some fishing on the beach, but sadly didn't get anything new. It was time for another snowy day, and eager for yet more animals, I spent a small fortune on animal treats. I decided to breed a tier 2 chicken and tier 3 chicken. Hopefully we can get another cute chicken before the 100 days are over. Then I headed to the deep earth level of the mines to try and locate some silver. I finally figured out these shooting monsters and had a proper tennis match with them. I reached level 45 and decided that was enough. The next morning, I decided to breed my purple cow. This has to produce another cute baby, right? I gathered the rest of the wood that was required and headed to the museum to donate 7 items. As for the inn requirements, I donated nearly all the things. All that is missing is 2 silver ingots. Eager to get this done, I headed back to the mines to get some more silver. After getting quite a bit of silver yesterday, I headed to the blacksmith and made 2 extra silver ingots needed for the inn. Don't ask why I'm running around with the cauliflower on my head, this is just me now. I then met with Adeline to turn the request in, and the inn magically upgraded instantly, and it's looking pretty good. The recipes for sale are also adorable. I had to buy 2 decor pieces, the cross stitch and the kitchen shelves. I'll be coming back for the rest later. I completed the winter crop set by donating a cauliflower, which unlocked the spring wallpaper. On day 98, there was a message from Adeline about the town improvement quest. Looks like we've done all the quests for now. Celine was in the shop browsing, so I gave her some simmered daikon, as you do. I headed to the mines, and despite suffering a mushroom attack, I found a pebble minnow, a crystal ring, and some shale glass. In revenge, I killed a mushroom and found myself a diamond-backed mirror. We have finally reached the penultimate day, and we have another blue chicken. I'm a little bit sad it's not something new, but this time it's a female, which is very important. I am now finally able to breed my ducks, and I did make 2 donations to the museum before doing some fishing on the beach, and then finished off the day with a spot of mining. On to the final day, and guess what? We did it. The town hit level 40. We also have a new blue cow, and at this point I was kind of running out of blue flower names. Adeline sent me 3 silver ingots to celebrate the Iron Star rank, and I wanted today to be a money-making day. But firstly, off to the blacksmith I went to make some silver ingots, and I treated myself to a silver axe and pickaxe, then stopped off at the mill to make cheese and mayonnaise. I popped into the inn to say hi to Raina and gifted her a cauliflower, and then did a spot of fishing on the eastern side where I found a shadow bass. I donated some items and managed to complete the winter river set. And then in true me fashion, I got distracted clearing out the farm and forgot the time. Spent my 100th night in the game on the floor on my farm. I did, however, make 5,395 gold, so that's a little bit of a silver lining. So we did it. We made it to 100 days, and here's a quick rundown of what I achieved in those 100 days. My town is obviously rank 40. I'm at level 45 in the mines. I have 2 ducks, 6 chickens, including 2 blue ones and a pink one, 2 capybaras, 4 cows, including 1 blue and 1 pink. Here is my almanac. And here is what my farm looks like. Yes, it's still a mess. My house is slowly coming together, and I really hope there is more expansions in the future. The only one thing that I really feel that I failed at, unsurprisingly, is my friendships. I'm sad I didn't get further along with them, especially with Raina, but honestly, I forgot to gift and talk to people, and at least it might keep me coming back to the game. But mostly, have I had fun? Yes, I've had so much fun. I'm definitely going to keep playing, so maybe I will see you at 200 days?